Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us here today. We're so excited to have you, and I'm excited about my subject today. The reference photo is provided by a friend of ours, and it's buffalo in Zambia, so that's pretty interesting and exciting. Now, I just want to show you what I have in mind before I get started today. I did a little work in Procreate, and so I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I did some adjustment layers and some, Kevin, what did we decide that was that I did?
There are blending modes.
Blending modes with the reference photo. So that's really, really fun. So I'm going to mix up the color. I'm just going to let everybody kind of get a chance to get onto the stream before I really jump into the demo. And I thought I would just talk about some of the stuff going on in my studio because I feel like it's probably really typical for people. I've decided this weekend that I'm going on an art retreat in my studio. So I was very intentional this week about getting all my reference material and materials, art making materials. And I actually went to the grocery store this morning and got food, make sure I have lots of sustenance for the entire weekend. I'm not going to be on Facebook, any social media. I'm not going to be looking at the news. I'm not going to be doing anything. I'm just going to hold myself up in that studio and make stuff all weekend. That's my plan. And it doesn't really matter what the result is. I'm just going to go in there and have at it. I have my other studio set up. It's just like, just full of stuff and full of space and ideas, and I'm just going to go for it. I think that it's really, really easy to kind of get into a little bit of a painting rut and or a block. Not that I am so much right now, but I feel like I feel like right now I'm actually kind of ready to burst forth a little bit, and that's always like really scary but very exciting and interesting place to be. And the new course that we just released, Next Level Animals, was kind of interesting because it really came about as a result of my own personal art practice. And at the time when I began putting together, well, actually before I put together the course, I was definitely going through what I felt like was a real rut, kind of a block, and just in my own personal artwork. And I remember specifically one particular weekend that I just said, to heck with it. I am just going to gather up everything that I can think of, materials-wise, reference-wise, and I am just going to clear the decks and make room for whatever bubbles up. And the animals were what was the result of that. And it was just this, huge burst of energy and inspiration. And animals, so even though I'm, pretty much known as a landscape painter, animals were really the root of my art making. When I was a little girl, that's what I started doing, drawing animals. I was so, interested in doing that. So it was, in a sense, kind of going back to my roots. So next Level Animals came about because of my own practice, which is really cool. And so that workshop is right now available. People are just eating it up. It's really fun to see. I wasn't sure, how people how many people would be interested in doing animals, but I don't think it's just about animals. It's about doing stuff differently, doing it larger, doing it with bringing in mixed media, bringing in new materials into the mix. And what's also really cool about Next Level Animals, having created it, that has definitely filtered into monthly pastel painting lessons year 4. So there's a lot of year 4 that got the benefit of that, of Next Level Animal. So that's really, really fun. So Next Level Animals is on sale right now, and it's I think it's got 8 projects. And it's a really cool and a study guide, and I'm really, really proud of it. I'm proud of it because it definitely is that step up and a big change for me. And so today, in celebration of that, I am going to be, and in Next Level Animals, there's some award-winning work. The rooster won an award at the IAPS exhibition Pastel World. So I'm really proud of that, because when you do something new, when you're like changing it up, you just kind of don't know how it's going to be received. And I'm just so excited that it's being received really well. So that's cool. So today I am going along those same lines. And so Bryce, could you put the 2 references up again? Yeah. So there's the reference, and there is the Procreate version, which is what I'm really going to be keying off of today, which is super fun. Really, I felt like these guys are so intense and so strong and so bold that I needed to do something like that. So I created an underpainting yesterday. This is on Fabriano paper, which is it's considered a watercolor printmaking and pastel paper. It's so multimedia paper. And it's a very beautiful paper. This piece happens to be 180 pounds. I'm sorry, 140 pounds. And it comes in 140, 300, maybe one other weight. I don't recall right at the moment. If you don't care for any, you could see it's buckled just a bit, not too much. If you don't care for the buckle, you might want to step up to the 300 pound. However, it's the 300 pounds quite a bit pricier. I have gone ahead and coated the image area with a pastel ground. It's not necessary to do that on this paper, but it just does gives a little bit more tooth and a little more texture. So I went ahead and did that. Then I came in with a couple of things. I used some acrylic ink down here, and up, so I created this kind of gradation, which I felt like was going to give me, already start to suggest the grass. And so I've got the acrylic ink, and then I came in with some high flow acrylics. So both of those products are nice and thin, both the acrylic ink and the high flow acrylics. You could use regular acrylic paint, but you have to really, really thin it. And when you start thinning paint too much, you start breaking up that paint layer too much. So that's why that high flow acrylic is really great, because it's very, very chromatic. And it's going to be a lot less expensive than trying to get enough watercolor on there. Watercolor is great for underpainting, but it can tend not to be as chromatic, and you're not going to get quite as much bang for your buck. The other thing I've got on here you can see is some spattering of, this is high flow acrylics. This is the, it's fluorescent green. And then finally, I came in with some India ink and with the brayer and got some of this dark. And then I started in with some black pastel to get a little sense of a drawing, but not too crazy. And that's where I'm at. Now you could see just from that reference, I'm going to be working with a very limited palette, and that's, I think, a good idea for this also because it's so intense. And I think it's going to be cool. And my idea is to really carve the contours of these guys out. This shape right here, thinking about that really quite a lot. So that's the first thing that I'm going to do. And I'm going to just jump right into it. I've allowed a little bit more time today in case I run over, because I really like this. I think it's really interesting. And if I run over, I'm not going to worry about it too much today. I do have my super stream for the monthly people later this afternoon. And so we'll be doing critiques and also some really kind of unique reference material is going to be put in play today for the super stream. So fun afternoon. And I am also looking forward to my weekend as well. It's just going to hole up and make some stuff. All right, so I'm going to get these guys. So the first thing is this contour. So I'm looking at this because it doesn't matter what the reference is for the contour, right? I got
And just to clarify, the piece of paper is a 22 by 30?
It is, yep. Exactly. It's 22 by 30. It's already popping out of here in a really great way. You can, on this one, can use some nice, rich Terry Ludwigs, some of this purple. I just love when I was working on this, looking at him, there's something so human about it. And it's really fascinating. And his face is kind of intense, but there's this sort of sweetness about it too, which is really kind of fun. I'm sure you wouldn't think that if you were confronted by one of these. I don't think it would feel very sweet, I would imagine. have to ask Paul. I see some little in the this Procreate version. There's these little flecks of red where these, and which is really pretty neat. I've got these fluorescents. Those will come in handy. Just here and there. I don't want to go crazy with it. But that's pretty neat. Edges, letting the edges be really lost and found. You can imply an edge, and in fact, I would suggest that implying an edge is more powerful. And if you look at painters like John Singer Sargent, even though they painted in very what I would call representational manner, they were implying edges. Sargent and Anders Zorn and really good painters. And I'm covering up some of that green up there. I see some green and some color back here in the grasses behind, and so I want to say some of that, but not too much. Now here's what I mean by implying an edge. Okay, here's the edge of this horn, right here. But I can get the edge of the horn by doing this is his backside. So I can say the edge and the contour of the ear without ever having drawn that ear and that horn. Here's the dark. My neighbor's dog's barking. Oh, oh, okay. That's funny. So loud to me. I'm not going to include, there's another buffalo back here, and I'm not going to include it. Just, I don't really need it. I may add some darks in here, so it could be sort of implied, but I don't really need them. It's fun. Okay. All right. I'm going to want a couple things that are a little brighter.
So for underpaintings, would golden fluid acrylics work if you don't have high flow acrylics?
Golden.
Fluid acrylics.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so golden fluid acrylics and golden high flow are really close. I mean, they have they're very similar products. The product that I'm used was golden. The thing that the tube acrylics are the thing that you got to watch out for. The ones that the thick in from the tube. And if you can use that, but as I said, it's thick, and so you got to really thin it.
And how did you prepare the paper surface? With gesso or pastel ground or?
I used pastel ground. And the monthly people are going to get a video on how I did it.
Could you use clear gesso instead?
No, because it's. Well, I mean, you could. I mean, you could do anything. But clear, the pastel ground has pumice. It has so that's why I did it. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it at all. Yeah. I'm going to leave him be for a bit and come over here, get this going.
Turning out to be a really beautiful day here.
Oh, look at the sun's coming out. Nice.
we're experimenting with having the garage door open, so it's also really nice and cool in here too.
Yeah, it's nice.
Great day. And can you remind us if this was cold press or hot press paper?
It's hot press, so it's smooth. So remember, hot press is smooth. It's like hot, like an iron. So it's been ironed smooth. That's how I remember it. Yeah, I like that.
Could you use cold press if you wanted to?
Cold press is going to be rough, and that's okay if you like it, if you want it. Little flecks of red in there. All right, let's kind of get after him now. Eventually, I want him to be a little more prominent, and so this guy I want set back there. He's not quite developed where I want it to be, but I'm getting there with them. But this guy back here, I want to be definitely kind of second fiddle, second reed. But his body is serving to sort of silhouette this guy, so that's his main role, other than sort of staging. So he's not other than, he's kind of staging this main guy.
Another question. Could you use Reeves BFK paper for this?
Oh yeah, Reeves BFK is another one that I use in the workshop. Reeves BFK, arches. All right, let's get after this guy back here. And I'm thinking about him as being really simple. Don't even want to. Really dark. Even darker than that. The Terry Ludwigs are working better than the black. Like, so the Terry Ludwig eggplant is working better than the black for me here. So I want this to be really ghosted. Maybe just a little highlight there. Yeah. Now his contour. And he just gets totally lost and found right there, completely into the background. And that little bit of texture is helping me a lot.
Another question.
Yeah.
Will you use fixative when you're done?
Probably. If I were to frame this, yeah, because there's a lot of dark pigment on it, so it probably would be wise. I'm working out how much I want, how prominent I want this guy to be. You know, this kind of working this way is definitely a push-pull. I'm putting something down and seeing what happens, putting something else down, seeing what happens. So there's this dance of the intuition of it and the planning of it and letting it evolve and letting it emerge.
Another question about materials.
Mm-hmm.
Do you prefer pastel ground or pastel pumice? Why?
Pastel pump. Say that again.
I think
Because some pastel ground contains pumice. A lot of pastel ground has pumice in it.
yeah, and Golden has a product that's called fine pumice gel. And they
Yeah,
also have pastel ground.
yeah,
And can you use either one?
yeah, you can. There's a lot of overlap in the products.
You have to find the one that you like.
Yeah. You really have to experiment with everything. I just want a little bit more pigment on here.
And where did you get the image?
The image is a friend took this on safari. And has been really generous with his imagery. And monthly people, and we have access to a lot of his images because he's really been generous.
Not to worry, he was using a zoom lens, so he was a safe distance from these guys, I assure you.
I'm sure, yeah. He's got some incredible stuff, though. It's just, just jaw-dropping images. So not trying to improve on his photo, just making something creative from it. And I do think that increasing the scale of the work is important to making moves to take things to the next level, because it forces you to get big, get bold, get different. If you always are staying, and that goes for if you do work big, try working small, because whenever you want to make a change, you have to do something different. It's that old kind of maybe cliche saying, if you always do what you always do, you always get what you always get. But it is true. Try to get some of this. There's the kind of these lights on his nose there. Those are fun. The like sunlight's kind of popping in. That isn't the fluorescent. This is a Jack Richardson that I'm using. Love this color. It's really... Okay, we're getting somewhere, I think. And faster than I thought, which is kind of fun. Now, this is the fluorescent. It's a little bit lighter. Ugh. Yeah, that's that one that just falls right apart. It's okay. Want some red. Now, this is a hard, very hard new pastel. And it's gonna see that it's actually removing some layers and adding some red. But I can actually scratch into some of the layers that I've got. I love that. I love that. So cool.
Just to clarify, you altered this reference photo using blending modes on Procreate,
Yes.
but you could do the same thing on Photoshop.
Yes, you can do exactly the same in Photoshop. In fact, in Photoshop, you have a little more control than you do in Procreate. I literally just brought it into Procreate and started messing around. Like, okay, what can I do that's going to be fun? Really, honestly, that's what I'm like. What can I do that's going to just make it really fun? I like the reference as is, but just pushing it again, like pushing it to the next level. What can I do? So I'm putting some highlights on him. I'm not going to do that on him, just this one little spot here on his horn, but I'm not planning on, I'm going to let him be that really second read back there.
Can you also use white gesso?
Yeah, you could use white gesso.
Would you consider this to be a mixed media piece rather than a pastel?
Um, no, not really, because it's definitely primarily, you know, pastel. It's pastel. Like I wouldn't have any compulsion about entering this kind of thing in a show, in a pastel show. I don't think there'd be any problem with that. It's uh, the 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 finish of it is pastel. You know, when you're entering shows, you just pay attention to the prospectus. It's the main thing. I'm not going to fuss with him too much because I think it's pretty good. So you start fussing on something like this, and it's not necessary. It's he's reading. It's not about getting. It's that getting his attitude. Right. So if this is exciting to you guys, check out the Next Level Animal Workshop. It sets you on a path that you can start to explore a lot of different modes with animals, with pastels in general, really. So Next Level Animals is on sale. Monthly pastel painting lessons is also on sale until September 1st. So it's the best time to get in on monthly right now. Carving him out just a little bit more. Can't resist. Love drawing Should we take a look at it? I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah, you know, it's such a big piece. Maybe we should take it down and put it on the
on the
palette
table.
cam.
All right.
Yeah, and that would square it up, and because trying to hold those angles on that piece would be really tricky, and be able to get out of the way
And get
really hard.
want to do a little teeny bit more in I might, you know, if I was really to come in, and I might be inclined to do a little bit more of work on the grasses. But this is the kind of thing where I really like a lot of what's going on, that I would probably like to sit with it for an afternoon at least and go, okay, what have I got here? You know, are there little push and pulls that I want to do, value-wise, color-wise, edges, that I think might improve it. Little things like, do I want to like say the silhouette of that ear or not? Do I want to come and get a little reflected light on the horns? You know, that kind of thing. And so I would like to sit back with it, because you know it's so loose and big marks that you kind of want to kind of live with it a little bit. Just feel it a little bit. All right, let's take it and look at my hands. Really went for it today. That's really fun. Okay, let me get this off of here. It might even be fun to come in with another splatter of that green. That might be too much. But I don't like the idea of being cautious with it. I like the idea of really coming in there and letting it fly. That's the whole idea. So if you go too far, well, okay, you went too far. That's the way it goes. Let's put this guy down here. Are these big enough? I don't know.
They might just miss.
They miss. They do. Just miss, Kevin. To give a little sense of it. That's too bad. Let's see. That does it? It won't stay. Let's see. That works. What does it look like? Oh yeah, wow.
Great.
Okay, now what I just looking at it for myself here, what I feel like is it like this pink is super strong, and this is really neat that it's so dark, but I think I would try to bring a little bit more mid value down just a bit, so that this doesn't I don't want this to detract. I want this to frame it. So I think it's just a little too strong. So I think I would bring a little bit of this lavender in here a little bit, just soften that just a little bit. And I might also come in here with some a little bit more dark. So that's my first impression of it. But I like it. It's really, really fun. Okay, so that was fun. I hope you guys had fun watching, and give something like this a try. Just get in there, be bold. Put everything on the table. There's no reason not to. That's the great thing about being an artist. There's not too much on the line other than some time and some materials. And yeah, sometimes they're expensive, but to me that's the payback can be really, really great if you just kind of let it all hang out. It's good. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you go to the website and check it out, paintinglessonswithmarla.com. Next Level Animals is on sale. Monthly pastel painting lessons is on sale, and until September 1st. And just make sure you subscribe and like our videos. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate that you watch. The best way to support our ongoing live streams is to go to the website, check it out, and consider making a purchase there. So, all right, you guys have a great weekend. I know I am going to be having a great weekend. I'm going to make stuff, and hopefully I'll have a lot to share with you really soon. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.